Welcome, everybody. I'm just doing a little mic check. Cash Money Kev here. My voice is hopefully sounding good. It is a little uh, sick still, I think. But
We call that crispy, Kev. We call that crispy.
yeah, I feel that, Sarah. It is extra crispy. I don't know if I got like a little hay fever or just the winter cold coming in or something like that, but just a little tickle. But it's all good. We power through. Um, I'm excited, guys. We're gonna be doing our week 2 recap today. It's gonna be fast and it's gonna be awesome with Alisher. We're gonna be killing it today. So everybody, get your computers booted up. Have VS Code up. Make sure you're following along on the live stream. It's on innovatorsthinktank.com and it's up in the jumbotron as well if you'd like to click there, and just dual stream. You can have the video playing while you listen to the X conversation here. Um, so I'll bring you up as well, Dan. Welcome. So for anybody that missed last night, it was an awesome session. We got to get everything loaded up and launched in Vercel. Ross, I was super excited to see my own Canva, and the cogs in my head started turning. I started coming up with ideas as soon as I saw it like live in the local, what I could change, the UI of like what colors I wanted to change it to, what features I maybe want to add. I've just been kind of like brainstorming. We're in the ideation phase, as Josh would say. So it's got me excited. Thank you for putting that up there, Sarah. We're gonna need that as well. All the links, like Neon, I'll be sure to help you out there as well. But guys, as Sarah would say, don't feel bad if you have any questions. Come up on stage. Do not fall behind. We're here to help. I'm excited for us to build out a fully deployed full stack application. We chose Canva last night. Um, and yeah, Sarah, did you have any little uh, moments or comments of encouragement for anybody this morning?
Sure, I'm going to fill in so you can rest your voice. Um, it's rough when you have a crappy voice, and so make sure everybody has their cup of coffee. You're also going to want to have your Stripe account. You're going to need some of those things. This is from Tip to Toe, folks. By the end of the hour, you're going to have employed or deployed, I guess that's the technical term, your Canva replica, your Canva version, your um, bootleg copy, for lack of a better term. And so I see that Dan and Teodora are here. I see that Britta's here. I see State's here. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Crazy Jack. We're having class today, so I just want to give you a big hug. I see that you're waving. So thank you for showing up, and I hope you have a wonderful day, hun. We have Nick Alisher and Ross in the house. Alisher is going to be taking the wheel. I see that Jeff is here. Folks, you need to have everything to hit the ground running. So make sure you're up and running. You are going to be using your GitHub, so you want to make sure you have that open. I do believe we used Vercel last night, I think, but then it got sidetracked. So I don't know if we're going to be using that or not. I'm not sure, but lots of little moving parts. So make sure you're also having your Notion doc open. You want to leave yourself some breadcrumbs, because this is a complex thing. And next week is even going to be more complex. And so you want to make sure that you are documenting your journey, because remember, the training wheels are off. You are accountable from here on out. You are literally voiding the warranties. So if you feel confident that you can kind of move ahead, I know a lot of people do. Please don't. I know this sounds harsh because you are doers, but there are some kind of wonky things that you need to follow the steps. And even if you think you know them, be careful, because there were some issues last night where you just kind of get lulled into a false sense of security about the path that you're taking. So without any further chitter chatter, because we want to get this done in about an hour and a half or less is preferable because folks need to rest. Alisher, can you test your mic today? How are you, friends?
I'm doing great. Good morning, guys. Hopefully, we can sprint through this today.
Alisher, you're
There's a lot
awesome.
of there's a lot of things too. I was just prepping. like 30 minutes before we started opening everything up. And you guys went through a lot last night. A lot of services, a lot of APIs, a whole different package manager. But I saw the results. I saw a lot of you posting using your own Canva, using the Unsplash for those royalty-free images. And then if you think about it, you can start adding features like the AI image generators. So if you have Pixel API, what you can do is you can start adding something where you can put in a prompt, maybe just like Real Canva. Real Canva, they have the DALL-E image generation, and I think they bought an AI image company recently. I think it was Leonardo or something like that. So soon they're gonna have that as well. But yeah, first,
Excellent.
before we start, does anybody have any questions?
I was going to say, go ahead and get all of your stack together, folks, because I see a familiar faces that went through everything. And Alistair, yes, he mentioned something really important, and I want to make sure it's on the recording, so we can timestamp it in on 8 minutes. He took at least a half hour to prepare for class. We're not opening up windows when we get to class. You're trying to think through the steps that you need to be proficient and to hit the ground running. And that is one of the things that I admire also about Starbus. She is absolutely disciplined when it comes to doing stuff like that. She thinks about her class and she thinks about what she needs to have like a full hour, sometimes days in advance, because she has that teacher mindset. I assume Dan is also like that too, where you have the little pockets of information and you understand that everything has to be prepared, the table has to be set. And so that is something that some people it may be foreign to them, where they're used to being in the passenger seat or an employee as opposed to the employer that's driving the car, as Dave Mears says. He uses this analogy a lot. If you're passively showing up, you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do. If you're changing the mindset of a maker mindset, you are already ahead of the game. And the minute that you show up is when you open up the laptop. And that's why these mornings on Thursday are so important, because for many, all intents and purposes, put it that way, they were created for our executives who said, hey, I don't have 7 hours to be in a class at night. Can you distill this down into the down and dirty? And that's kind of what we're doing. So I just wanted to say thank you, Alistair, for putting that out there. Sometimes we forget, and having it on the recording helps future dwellers. So without any further hesitation, I advise as many people to come up to speak. I mean, we have enough spaces that we can have almost everybody, because then you can have a quicker, even more fluid conversation and ask the questions without those barriers. So, especially if you're going through it or you didn't get it to work last night, right? Okay, so Alistair, take it away, my friend.
So I have a question for you guys, and I see somebody's asking to come up. So my first question is, how many of you have everything set up from week one? Meaning you have Node.js, you have Visual Studio Code. Those are the two main things you will need.
Really use your emojis if you can. If you're on laptop, you can still wave or something, but that way he can have a visual representation on his screen, so that we have instant feedback. It's just, it's helpful. Put it that way.
Yeah, so that's gonna be your step one. And State, I saw you give a thumbs up. What's up? I added you as a speaker.
Yeah, I got my mic now. I gave a thumbs down to the Node.js confirmation. I didn't do that week one.
Okay, so what I highly recommend is that you go ahead and do that, and also DM me so I can send you a recording from week one. We have it up on YouTube.
Thank you. Will do.
Real quick, show of hands. Everybody is in a Slack channel, correct? That's a question mark. Raise your hand, say yes, thumbs up. Because last night there was a link, a secret link, in the Slack channel, and you have a specific portal opened up, it says source code for this class. And that's really, really important because the link that went up will play a big role later on. So if you're not in Slack already, you should be DMing, you know, Josh Hellman's account or Cash Money Kev, the Tech in Schools account, or me. I have a little bit harder time navigating because I'm on a phone, but make sure that we have everybody that's in the Slack channel. So there you go. Go ahead, Alisher.
Yeah, and also if you're in Slack, and if you have the zip file, if somebody doesn't have the zip file, just message them and send them the whole file. That's what I ended up doing to a few people, and I also ended up just sending the zips over Twitter as well, because I think some people have issue joining Slack because when you invite them, it almost like sometimes doesn't send them an email for some reason. Um, so yeah, really, any way you could get the zip is welcome. Just try not to post it publicly, right? You want to either share it in a Slack in direct messages, or you can share it on Twitter in direct messages. I also invited somebody to my Google Drive as well. Just as long as you're not sharing that link publicly. Okay, now second set of prerequisites that you will need. I shared a link. It's in the Jumbotron. There's a few things here. So we started with Bun. Bun was another package manager that's really fast. It doesn't have any dependency problems. Very similar to what we used in week 1, PNPM, right? Except now we're replacing it with Bun. I think at the end of the day, whether you use NPM, PNPM, or Bun, they're all going to be about the same. They're package managers. You get packages through them. You resolve dependency issues through them. And this particular project uses Bun, but if you're ever building your own thing, don't be discouraged to use any one of them. Truly, there's not really much of a difference. I think at the end of the day, another thing we shared was Upload Thing. Upload Thing allows you to upload different files without having to worry about storage. And there's some settings you can set there, like cleaning out the drive. For example, if you don't have your people, if you don't need permanent storage, if you just need like temporary storage, like a lot of things in Pixio have temporary storage for the upload, you can actually set it to clear out, every 7 days, every 30 days, whatever it is that you need to clear those. And then Unsplash, another great platform. We're going to go through each one of them as we set this up. And Unsplash essentially gives you access to thousands of images that are free, that are licensable. You can download, use them, reuse them, resell them. It's really useful. You can use it in a lot of open source software. If you ever find any other sort of editor that has on-demand images, it probably uses Unsplash. Then, of course, we have Neon. That's our databases. We went through that in week 1. We've seen databases before in Supabase, very similar. Same idea, except a little bit easier to interact with. Then we have Vercel, which is where we deploy everything at the end. We've used Vercel in season 1. We use it almost every Friday with Sharon. This is your best free way to deploy a website that's like a React-based website. So Next.js, React, Node.js, Vite, whatever other JS framework there is. They're really good. They're free. Very rarely are you going to need to pay them unless you have thousands of users. Okay, so those are our prerequisites. You need accounts with those specifically. You might already have an account with Vercel if you were here in season 1. You might already have an account with Neon if you were here last week. You need an account with Upload Thing and Unsplash. And then we're going to start filling in our code. So before we do that, does everybody in here have the source code? The zip file from last night that contains the code for this Canva recreation, so to say.
And if you don't, give a thumbs down.
Yep, we need to see you. Jeff, specifically, I know you might be driving. So I'm not sure if you have it because I haven't seen you last night, and that goes for you too, Dan.
No, it's in Slack, right?
It is no longer in Slack, but if you don't have it, it's not a problem. I'm gonna send them to you right now in Slack directly.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, I'm all set up on my computer at home, and I'm about a block away, so hopping in now.
Just be safe. Just be safe. I need a thumbs up from Jeff. I'm bringing him up. Never mind. He's going to tell us so that you can at least have it in your DM. Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
Just wanted to let you know I'm not actually participating in this season. I'm just an observer, listening and learning.
Excellent. That is perfectly acceptable and awesome. And I'm glad that you're here. Sometimes you have to kind of think it through. And I know that there are a number of people doing the same, where they're trying to just kind of decide where they're going to focus their energies. And this may not be for them. And because it is complex, it moves fast, and you have to be fully immersed. So we know that a lot of people have hectic lives and things that they need to do. And so thank you, Jeff, for letting me use you as a foil to get that message out there, because there are a number of people that are doing the same thing and still want to be a part of their pocket families and, adventuring through self education and hacking their learning. So be safe, friend. I'm glad to see your face here, though. All right, so let's continue. I think we've got everybody hot, straight, and normal. I see that Flo has entered the room, our friend Mary Ellen. I don't know if you are working on the same class, or if you're just here listening in. Just know that you're welcome and that we see your presence. So, Alisher, continue on, friends.
Okay, guys. So once you have the zip, you want to unzip it with whatever way you usually unzip things, and you want to open it in Visual Studio Code. And typically, what I like to do is I like to go in VS Code, and the easiest way to do it is go to File, Open Folder, and just make sure you open the right folder, because when you unzip something, it might be like a folder inside of a folder. So typically, that's what happens. Even when you download from GitHub, you're going to notice it's a folder inside of a folder. So once you start seeing SRC, Drizzle, Public, that's how you know that's the right folder. This is what's called the root folder, ROOT. Awesome. And you'll know this will look about familiar. It's typically what our projects have looked like so far. You have things like package.json, very important. Every single Node.js, Next.js, React project will have this. And the biggest thing that's the difference here is that this uses bun instead of npm or pnpm. Okay, so we have our project. Now we need to set up the dependencies, right? Typically, what you have to do is you have to run a command that pulls those dependencies. So we're going to go to terminal. Remember, we run our commands in terminal. We're going to click on new terminal. If you're zoomed in, if you have a different screen, you might have like a little 3 dots there, and then you'll get to terminal. Okay, now I know that it uses bun because if I look in the files, this is how you can kind of orient yourself if you ever find the project. It's going to say bun.lock. Right, so it's going to say something about bun. pnpm is going to say something about pnpm here. You'll notice like a file that's marked with like a red icon. And npm, it's going to have its own package lock.json file or something like that. Okay, so I know it uses bun. So next logical thing is for me to just literally Google bun typically. And I'm going to go to the bun docs, and I'm going to go to installation. And here it gives you everything you need, right? If you have Mac OS or Linux, or if you just want to use NPM. So we just want to use NPM. That's what's already in our system, instead of having to use PowerShell. NPM keeps it clean. You know where it came from and kind of what apps are going to use it. And here, Basically, what this command means is you're telling the node package manager to install this package for bun globally, right? That -G means globally. So if you have to install something globally, or if you ever have like directions where it says install Supabase globally, you're going to need that -G. And this will pretty much take care of itself. It's going to install it just like any other dependency, but into your node instead of into your project. And then you'll never need to install bun again on this computer because it's installed globally, right? It's applicable to every project. Always want to check the README, see if there's anything useful in the README. There is not. This is just a basic README from any Next.js project. And then a quick tip. Sometimes you also want to check the package JSON. The package JSON will give you the commands that you can use here. It's like a little trick to navigating in a project and understanding how the project works. Okay, now we have installed bun, and we can install all the dependencies. So let's try this out. We're gonna do bun install, right? Just like npm install, pnpm install. This is gonna be very typical. You're gonna do the package manager name, bun in this case, and then you're gonna ask it to install those dependencies. Very similar, very interchangeable with a lot of these package managers like npm, pnpm. You're just changing this first word.
I just realized something. You have to be in the you make sure that's
Yes, absolutely. And if you do bun install there, I think it'll just create like a node modules folder. If you were doing npm in there, then npm would actually tell you that, hey, this folder actually doesn't have anything. That command might also tell you that it doesn't have anything. And of course, if you want to get in the right folder from the terminal, you can either reopen it with VS Code in the right folder or do cd. So choose directory and then the name of the folder. Okay, so this is how we get our dependencies. From here, we're going to get our variables. So let's take some questions. What's up, Dan?
Yeah, so I'm home now and have my computer all set up. I was having a couple audio issues, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. I have the Canva zip file. I've got all my apps open, and I think what I missed is what we are opening within that file once it's unzipped.
Right, so you want to open the image AI master folder in your Visual Studio Code. So you're going to get VS Code open, go to File, Open Folder, and then navigate to that image AI master folder.
Okay, cool. I'm just trying to remember what that icon looks like for Visual Studio. GitHub.
It's like a figure eight, like a blue figure eight.
Okay, got it. All right. Thank you. All right, good to go.
And then you're going to open terminal. You're going to need to run 2 commands. So I can actually send those commands to you. So this is pretty much our first step, and now we're going to start populating in our env file all the environment variables. Now, if you're in an application and it doesn't have an env file here, like we did last week, remember last week we had an example file. There's a quick hack. You can go to search and you can look for process.env, and this is going to show you all the variables that there are. And you can go one by one, copying them into your .env file. Since we already went through this, I saw it was in our Slack from last night. So all I need to do is go to the main folder, go to my root folder, right click in here and make a new file called .env. And I'm just going to paste all those values from last night. So let me go find it, and here it is. Database URL, next public app URL. So you guys can post all of these into your env file. And we're going to start filling these in. Right? These are essentially the keys from all the websites we're going to go to make accounts and get a key. Now, do you guys have questions so far? I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to get to this part where you have your dependencies installed and you have your env file created with these values. Now, this env is also going to tell you what services you need, right? So the first one is database URL. So technically for this one, you could use any database URL that supports Postgres. So Supabase supports Postgres, Neon supports Postgres, and a bunch of open source database managers support Postgres as well. Also, both of those, Supabase and Neon, are open source as well. Now, next public app URL. Well, we're local right now. So for all of these Node applications, Node websites, it's always going to be the same. It's always going to be HTTP : localhost 3000 : 3000. That's going to be the same for all of these React-based applications. So you could always type that in for local. Once you go to Vercel, you're going to change it to whatever your URL is. And you need this because it gets called in different parts of the code, like Stripe integration, whenever you need to go back to this link. Now, Stripe price ID, can enable that later. Then another key that we can already put in is the auth secret. So auth secret, I think last night you guys ran a command to do it. I'll just go to AI Tutor and generate one. I think that's the easiest if I don't want to run a command, because sometimes OpenSSL, not every computer has it. You might be on the Mac where that's not supported. So
is that the 64-bit one?
Yeah. Yep. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna say generate a 64-bit random key for my auth.js. going to be JavaScript. I don't know why it needs a. Oh. It's the developer. That's the problem. It's too code focused.
This is where you would lean in heavily to your My AI tutor. If you hit stumbling blocks, it is your superpower. I will just put that out there. And if you do not have your subscription, I'm saying this more for the benefit of the recording. Go ahead and subscribe. A kid in New York gets a digital twin. Make sure you use the ITT code to get your 20% off. And that is the rate that you're locked in forever. So it won't ever go up. And if this is something that you are wanting to continue and want to continue building in this way, having that in your corner pocket gives you the mechanical advantage. So just want to put that out there. Continue, Alisher. Pardon me for interrupting.
Yeah, guys, and with code ITT you get 20% off. And you can like hack it even further and like get it for a year. So you get like 20% off for a year forever. And then you're really getting a deal. Okay, let's just go through these one by one. So database URL, we all decided we're gonna use Neon. We're all gonna use the same thing because it's easier. It's gonna be easier to troubleshoot any issues we have. And Neon is located at console.neon.tech. And we're gonna log into our account from last night or from week 1. Since most of us created accounts in week 1. Let's see if I can find mine. All right, perfect. Here it is, Thursday ITT. I'm actually gonna delete this database. And then
Okay,
I'm gonna,
that was my big question. Sorry. Deleting the database, or I think Ross was talking about setting up a new account. It's one or the other, right?
oh yeah,
Like,
you can set up a new account.
okay, just want to make sure because
Absolutely.
yeah, I'd much rather not manage more accounts if I can just delete the database.
Yeah, so you can go to the project, go to delete, and then I think it asks you to like type the project name to delete it, and then it'll take you back to the creation page. And I'll probably keep the same name, but I'll call it Thursday Canva. Postgres version, I think we decided to keep it on 16. There's something in the requirements that says 16. All right, cool. And we can create the project. You don't have to connect it to GitHub. You can click skip. And once you created, the first thing that you're going to see here as you scroll down is this connection string. So you can click show password and then copy snippet. And this is going to be our database URL. This is how our application connects to the database, manages data, creates users, and everything in between. Also probably saves some of the files and the links to those files. You can just paste that in as our first variable database URL. So that's Neon is actually so much, I guess, simpler and easier to use than Supabase, because if we were in Supabase right now, you would need to go in, you would need to go into the SQL editor, seed the database. You would need 3 different keys to access the database. So I guess it's a little bit safer in those terms, but it's a little bit more tedious to set up. Now let's do Stripe. So it looks like we have 3 Stripe keys. Should really be 4 Stripe keys. So I'm gonna add another Stripe key here just in case. If you guys remember, Stripe publishable key. should also be here, typically. But we'll see if we even need it. We'll test it out. Okay, so we can get 3 out of the 4 of these keys. Webhook secret we are not able to get because we're local for now. But once we're up and running on Vercel, that'll be easy to get to. Okay, so let's go to Stripe. Stripe is gonna have both of these already, and then we'll just need to create a product in Stripe. So that's the one I forgot to include the link for, I think. Season 4, there you go. I already have a Stripe set up. Let's see if there's anything in here. No, there's already 2 plans, but we can clear these out. You can also set up another Stripe account. And again, the verification process should be faster every time you set it up. Okay, now typically as soon as you get to Stripe, I have it in test mode. You should have it in test mode too. It's this little switch at the top. And here we have the publishable key and the secret key. So you want to get both of those. Publishable key. Hold up, that's a secret key. There you go. And then we need a price ID. So this is when you need to create a product in Stripe that will give you a price ID. So I'm going to go to product catalog, add product, and I'm just going to make it, the basic tier. Recurring, make it $5 a month. Got an undercut Canva. Add product. And now this product, just like everything else in Stripe, is going to have a product ID. Or actually, we want the price ID. So it's going to be this price. And there you have copy price ID. Then we'll keep webhook secret. That's going to be something we'll need to get once we get into Vercel. Then we have replicate API key. Now replicate. So replicate tells me that this application already has some sort of AI integration, right? Because replicate is essentially like a front end for people to run different models on GPUs. So let's check this out, replicate.com. This is optional. You can put whatever key you want in there. Oh, looks like I never had an account. Funny. Okay, cool. So let's check this out. I just logged in. This is my first time in here. And let's see. I need an API key. So there it is. It's at my profile. I'm going to copy this main token. And all I have to do is paste it in. Now, this application is what's called the serverless application because everything that's going on is done by these different API services, right? So replicate, you don't need GPUs because you're using replicate GPUs. You don't need storage because you're going to use upload tick. You don't need a database because you're going to use Neon. So all that's left is just running this front end that looks like Canva. What's up, Dan? See your hand up.
Yeah, so I'm actually don't worry, but I'm back on installing Bun, and I just had to work through some things on AI Tutor. I found out that we have to do like npm install the gbun, but put sudo first on a Mac.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So sorry if I missed that. But I'm good everywhere else. That's the nice part about this being kind of different segments. Um, so I just wanted to let you know in case any other Mac users are struggling with that and getting errors when you're trying to globally install Bun. It won't let you do it on a Mac unless you put sudo first.
Yeah, okay, good to know. Good to know that it's specifically the global command. Makes sense. They don't want you randomly altering like your global Mac environment. Okay. Yeah, guys. So if you have a MacBook, remember, whenever you run a command, if you have like a permission error, start the command with sudo, sudo, and then run the command.
So just curious, what does that mean? What does sudo mean?
Sudo means super user do. So super user do this.
It's very inspiring. Thank you.
It's very like shorthand English. Uh,
We are the super users, all of us.
I'm still looking for this number in price. Where did you find that in that screen?
yes, good question. So let's go back to Stripe. So here I am in my product in Stripe. There's going to be pricing, and it'll have a price, and then you can click the three dots, and it says copy price ID. I'll leave
Got
it
it,
on the
thank
live here for a second. All right, awesome. And also a quick tip: Stripe. You don't need to have an app to use Stripe. You can use Stripe and charge for whatever you want. Right? For example, on our main TSI website, we have a donation button, and it just goes to a Stripe that's a payment link. So you can have all these payment processors like Cash App, credit cards, Alipay, whatever there is out of the 200 options that they have, and you can just create a payment link. You don't even need a front end for this. Stripe will give you everything from like a payment page to a thank you page to an invoice. Great tool. Great tool to accept payments. And I think they only take a few percent. I think it's 1-2% or something like that. I think depending on the price of your product as well. Love Stripe. I was talking to somebody recently, and they're running a local movie theater, and they're trying to figure out how to accept donations, right, or really any sort of payment for anything, because they had like issues with Square, they had issues with Clover, all these physical point of sale systems. And I just told them, go check out Stripe, have people just scan your QR code and pay you. Simple. So if you're ever at a real event and you want to use Stripe for something, some sort of payment, you should set up a quick like Stripe product. Why not? Okay, guys. So we have Stripe. Let's see what we have left over. We have Unsplash, and we have Upload Thing, and then Google Auth. You guys, I think we'll set up next week. Okay, let's do Unsplash. Unsplash is cool because I find it. It's essentially free royalty-free images. 6.6 million free pictures. Pictures you don't have to license, they're already properly licensed, completely royalty-free, and you can essentially resell it as a service. Right? So I think after a certain amount of requests, you can pay them for the API or something like that. And then, or I think they might be completely free. I don't see anything that says pricing plan. So essentially, you can have your own subscription service that maybe just has royalty-free images. You can charge people for it, right? Because if you think about it, if you go to Adobe to license a picture through Adobe, it's like $5-6, $10 a picture. License a picture to like Getty Images or anything that watermarks their images. But in this case, you have access to millions of pictures. Now, what's important is you go to unsplash.com/developers and then register as a developer. And then
That's a big identity step, Alisher, but I'm here for it.
wait, what do you mean?
I just mean like calling myself a developer. I had not considered that before, but here for it.
Time to
You are developing and you are succeeding. So I'd say you are a developer.
It's like a big moment.
Okay, guys. So on Splash, now you want to register as a developer. You're going to need to create a new application. And once you get through it, it's going to be like this white screen. You're going to have this little React logo. I already have an application. I made this earlier, like 30 minutes ago. But if you want to create a new one, it's as simple as putting in a name and a description. That's all there is. You don't need to apply for production. We're not in production yet. And I would say, unless you're seriously publishing this, making this your product, fully customizing it, once you've done that, then you can apply for production. Now, check this out. There's some limits to the usage as you read through this. 50 requests per hour. So meaning I can only call this API 50 times. So whatever you do, just keep that in mind. And as you scroll further down, you're going to find some keys. And these are the keys that we're going to need.
You said 50 per hour. Is that right?
Yeah, according to this graph here, it's 50 per hour. But I'm sure there's a way to upgrade. There's a way for you to actually scale this up.
And if we use the Pixio API, is there a flat rate for that typically, or is it just per use? That would make more sense.
Pixio API is subscription based, so it's per month.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you were to start with like unlimited per month for an application, like to be able to actually call from an outside application scalably, it's about $100 a month.
Not too bad. I don't.
It's not, yeah, considering that it's not per request, it's completely unlimited.
Yeah, I haven't even compared, but that sounds good.
Like our Flux bill alone last month was like $300 from one of these providers. What's up, Sharon?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Alisher, I just wanted to ask you, when we push that to production, is that still for free? Are we still within a free tier with those 50 calls? It's Unsplash, right, that you're talking about. Is that correct?
It is Unsplash, and check this out. It tells you right here. Here's what needs to be done in order to gain access to production level limits. So 5,000 per hour is production.
Wow, that's cool. And how much is that free tier or does that cost?
So it looks like it's free tier. I don't see pricing anywhere. Looks like all you
Oh,
have to do is just upload a screenshot of your app or a video of your app working. You see, here's the checklist. Hot link photos. So all photos must be hot linked to Unsplash. So you just got to meet these requirements. Attribute photographer. So as long as you, I guess, meet these requirements, it's free.
thank you.
And yeah, from 50 per hour to 5,000 per hour is definitely a big jump. So unless you're doing more than 50 per hour, I guess you don't really even need to apply for production. Okay, so now let's get these keys, guys. So this is our Unsplash access key and secret key. Let's see what we need. We need access key. So let's grab this access key. Let's see if we need it anywhere else. Unsplash.js. We can check that out as well. There's docs. Remember, almost every one of these API calls, SDKs, has documentation. And so in here, I can see the JavaScript docs and everything I need for those. Just want to double check if there's any other keys that I need, and then we'll go along.
The database URL is from Neon, right?
Yes. Yep, it is a Neon. It's pretty much like on the front page of your project in Quick Start. Might still have it in your side menu. And you can just copy the Postgres link. Just make sure you show the password first before you copy. Because I think then it copies like the stars for some reason.
Oh, gotcha. So just go there where you're on the screen right now. Okay.
Oh, yeah, just go to the doc. So here, I'll show you Neon. Switch that screen for a few minutes. And then move on. I think we have upload thing left. So we'll create a new app and upload thing, and then we'll test it locally, and then we'll push it to Vercel. So I would say maybe like 15 more minutes, and we'll be done. Okay, cool. Let's try this out. So upload thing. Upload thing is great. Lets you easily upload to the cloud for free. Use it as storage. They have like 2 gigs for free, and if you just want to use it as temporary storage, well, then you have those 2 gigs forever. You do need a GitHub to sign in. In a lot of these, you'll need a GitHub to sign in because that's, I guess that prevents you from creating multiple accounts many times. Prevents abuse. For me, this is a fresh account. I've never used Upload Thing on my personal account. It's always in the TSI account, so it's good. It's fresh. I'll create a new app. I'm gonna call this Season 4. And then for me, I'm gonna select East because that's closer to me. Typically, you want to select the region that's closest to your users. All right, so let's continue to check out.
Good morning, everybody.
How you doing, Smoke? I know
So-
that you were in the eye of the hurricane there. Are you getting everything back together, friend?
I'm trying to. Just got off the phone with FEMA. It's a wreck around here. I don't know if y'all been able to see any of the videos, but it is a freaking true disaster. It is mind blowing what actually happened around here. I would never think that it would be possible. It's just incredible.
Just know your pocket family's here, and when it's time to rebuild, we will do our best to help in whatever way we can, because and I understand the devastation. My stepsister is still missing. She lived outside of Asheville, so we're still waiting to hear word. But the communications are spotty, and so we understand. And I know that you would have been here for class too, but just don't worry about it. We'll get you caught up, and just sit and take breath. Have sanctuary amongst your pocket family and just listen in. They're all building in the background. And I hope that it brings you encouragement, because you're a very special man, and you're very special to our community. And so, hopefully this gives you just your mind a moment to breathe. and you can sit back and just relax, okay? And we'll get you caught up. I just want to make sure that if you do have spotty reception, that we get you the links that you need behind the scenes. There's some in the Slack channel, but when the time comes and you have, steady reception, we can get you up and running. Okay, hon?
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. Actually, my home internet finally came back on this morning, and cell service seems to be working a lot better. It has definitely been shady. I haven't really been able to do anything for the past week. Literally, I haven't even turned on my laptop as of yet. So, but I will sit in the background and listen. It is nice to hear some outside voices finally. My ex almost lost her place. I mean, it was like literally 2 inches from floating away. She got extremely lucky when she was inside packing up. I told her, I was like, get inside and go grab some stuff. And I stayed outside for a minute. How fast the water came up, it was incredible. What part of town was your stepsister from?
She lived in Asheville, right in the Biltmore area, but it's kind
Oh,
of on the periphery. Yeah. So
oh my God! Look, I live 5 minutes from Biltmore. Biltmore was washed away.
yeah, I've heard.
Yeah,
Well,
it is freaking terrible. Oh my God.
Well, they had decided that they were going to leave a little bit, and we have not heard from them. So there are some surrounding cities that were literally wiped off the map. So we're hoping and waiting for the word. But you know what? Just be encouraged and go ahead and sit down, relax, grab a coffee if you can, and we'll figure out how to make you whole. Alisher's going to continue with class today, but I'm glad that you came in and you decided I'm going to show up. That's a big deal, especially when you've had tragedies like that in your life. Um, we're all very blessed. We're blessed to be here. It takes a certain amount of luck to some people, but you know what? If you show up daily and you dig your heels in and you say, I will be resilient, amazing things happen. You're choosing to be a verb and not a noun. And I really appreciate those folks that are doing that, because sometimes just getting up in the morning is all you can do. And you know what? Count it as a win. So thank you for being here, friend. Alisher, go ahead and continue.
Okay, guys. So after uploading, there's just one quick thing you have to remember. You don't have to pay; it's free. So if it asks you to pay, just click back, and your project will be created. And then you want to go to API keys, and you want to select legacy, because that's going to give you both your key and your project ID.
So, Alistair, I think I missed this. It says the app URL is optional. We don't have to put something in there, right? We can just say create app.
Yeah, you don't have to. You can skip that and just create it. And once you guys have all those keys in, so database URL, next public app URL, Stripe price ID, Stripe secret key, Stripe publishable key, replicate, unsplash, off secret, upload thing secret, and upload thing app ID. You can run the command to actually start this up locally. It's going to be bun run dev.
That's a lot of keys, Alisher.
It is a lot of keys, and they are in Slack, so I would say if you ever lose it, you could always go back to Slack and find this. And once you log back into those services, they'll all still have your info and your keys, luckily.
Sharon, the keys are like Pokemon characters. You got to collect
Yeah,
them all.
pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yep, pretty much. Go
I
ahead.
think I think the Pixio ENV file is like maybe like 50 keys, 50 different little variables.
I can't be trusted with this. This is the kind of thing where you think about if you have that many things to toggle, it's like the little Apple, tag that you put on stuff so you don't lose your glasses. I mean, this is the kind of thing that gives me nightmares is when you have like 50 of these stacked all on top of each other and you're figuring out where everything is. This is why it's really important to keep a documentation, make sure you're keeping your Notion notes. But, here's the other thing. It has to be private. You cannot have them broadcasted anywhere. You cannot compromise them in any way, shape, matter, or form. Make sure you're not taking, screenshots with your phone because, all of those things, are open. And when they're compromised, they are a pain in the butt to figure out. So just guard them. This is radical ownership, folks. So go ahead, Alisher.
Yeah, guys, you want to maybe write these down somewhere, make like a notepad file, or I keep things in like the Google Meet as well, Google Keep as well. So that I have on my phone, much easier to access. And just be careful. You don't want to send this through X by accident. And also, luckily, some of these keys are actually very like self-managed. So Stripe, for example, you can't really get hacked with Stripe. Somebody somebody has your key and they're putting it on their application, you're just getting their money at that point. Database URL, very important. Don't want to have that exposed. Just get your database hacked. Replicate, yeah, you might run up a bill, but you can set limits in Replicate, luckily. Unsplash, completely free. Auth secret is the important one because then you can potentially expose your users. But upload thing, Google, those are actually pretty. I think most of these are important. The only really self-managed ones are things like OpenAI, where you can set a limit, so your charges don't go past like $200-$300 if that's what you expect to spend a month, and then go case by case basis with each service. Now for us, once it's running, you're gonna notice in the terminal again, bun run dev, and you're gonna get a URL for localhost 3000. This is our typical local URL. Let's see where I have it open. Right here, create next app. Perfect. So it looks like a login screen. Since we have everything set up for auth and database, we should be able to sign up. So let's see, sign up. I'm gonna put my full name. Gmail. We'll keep it. We'll keep it these basic logins. I think I know what they are. Now Google Sign and GitHub Sign is not gonna work yet. Oh, something went wrong. Let's see. This is how you typically troubleshoot. Internal server error. Let's see why. Right, so we actually need to run a few more commands. We got a little too command happy. We need to populate our database because if we look at this error, sometimes you can just copy the whole error and give it to Antutu. But if you start reading it, it's kind of in plain English. For example, here it says neon DB error. You can kind of translate that to neon. That's our database. Relation user does not exist. So relation, that's your typical database term. This is telling you that there's no users, column, relations, fields, and whatnot. So sometimes you'll be able to troubleshoot errors really just by reading them, kind of understanding some of these keywords. like DB error. So there's a step that we didn't do, which is actually populating this database. Just like last week, where we ran a command to migrate, we're going to have to do the same thing here, except we're going to need to do it with bun. So let's, first thing we're going to do is stop this process. So that's Control C. That should stop it for you. And now we want to figure out what those commands are. Now I know what those commands are. I saw them in the Slack last night. And but if you don't know the commands, there's actually a way to figure it out. So if you go to your package.json file, you're gonna find scripts which correspond to commands, right? So let's try this out. There's db generate, db migrate, and db studio. So we're gonna do db generate and db migrate. We'll start with those. So we know it's gonna start with bun because this is a bun application. So bun, and then let's do db :generate. Says nothing to migrate. Okay, good. No changes. Now let's do migrate. Cool. Migration applied successfully. Nice. So now it says DB Studio. So I'm not too sure what that's all about. So I'm just gonna hold on before I do DB Studio. But my guess is it's a way for you to do these relationships in maybe some sort of visual way or whatever drizzle is. So it's good. It's migrated, it's populated, and now we should be able to rerun and actually create a user. So that should be our test before we go live. So we'll go to bun run dev. In your terminal, you can click up to go to previous commands. If you ever forget what command to run. And then we'll try this out again. So remember, you're going to need to run these two commands. These commands are already in Slack. And let me see. Let's see where they are. Slack. So here they are. It's the last thing Nick sent. Gonna add some reactions to it so you guys can find it. Pretty much when you end up using Drizzle, Drizzle kind of helps you build these database relationships and everything related to the database. Typically, you would need to do that with commands, you know, like in Supabase, we did it by running SQL commands. But here it's a little bit different. Here you have the Drizzle Studio that you're going to end up using next week. But for now, what you need to do is you actually need to still populate that database that we have in Neon. So these two commands will help you populate. It's really just the migrate command that you need to run. So this migrate command will help you populate the Neon database. And once that database is populated, let's refresh and click continue. See if we can sign up. So a little bit of like an error troubleshooting guide here. You can read some of these errors and make the connection. And there you have. There you go. Now we have no error. It goes through. You can start creating. Let's check this out. Project created. And also, if you don't like this editor, I think there's a few other open source frameworks that you can use instead of the editor that's here. But this editor is pretty good. I think he updated it recently as well. Might be running a little slow locally because locally it has to compile every page one by one whenever you go to it, and then recompile it. There's your upload thing, or not upload thing, your Unsplash images, by the way. You can see they all get properly credited. So you could go to production with this application. Should be working. This is going to be a little bit slow. So I think once we put it in Vercel, it's going to be much easier. It's cool. You have all the editing options. Very nicely done. You have text, shapes. Might need some sort of API. Figure out some sort of API to bring in different fonts. Think about that. Some ideas for you guys. Maybe you want to add some shapes. Figure out how these are working, because then you can add your own custom shapes, like a star. Draw, great tool. Maybe you can turn a drawing in this UI into an image with stable diffusion. You can go to file and find all sorts of different stable diffusion implementations. Here they use replicate. You can go to replicate and see what they have as well. They have a draw option, I'm pretty sure, or some sort of a control net. And then, of course, you might want to test some of these exporting. So let me try to download this as a PNG. Perfect. Okay, cool. So now that I've tested it, I'm ready to go live. Okay, so to go live, we're going to use Vercel. You can use any sort of hosting, but Vercel is free, and they have a very generous free tier. Okay, so there's a few ways to get your project to Vercel. We have our GitHubs connected. So one way is to connect it through GitHub. And then we have the way where you log into Vercel CLI in your terminal and connect it that way. So we're going to use GitHub because it's easier. That's going to put your project somewhere in the cloud, somewhere online where you can access it on a different device. If you have the project locally, it might not be as great, but if you have it in GitHub, very easy to push the changes and then transfer that to a different development device. So if you ever switch computers, really easy to manage that. And also, if you want to give access to other developers to work in your project and make changes, you can do that through GitHub as well. And also manage different versions. There's a lot of things you can do with GitHub. So we're going to add this project to our GitHub. So I have my GitHub desktop. Right now, I'm in my Pixio project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project and then point it to the folder where all of my code is. So let's try to, I'm going to go to add. And I'm going to select create a new repository. Repository name. I'm going to call this, let's call this Thursday Canva.
Alisher, I don't know if you can see, but State does have his hand up.
What's up, State?
I just put it up. I didn't want to interrupt. You said you can share for collaboration to let other people in. We do have to be careful with this kind of project to some degree. Is that correct? With like sharing the codes and stuff, access to that.
Well, there's a way in, this is going to be a private project. You're going to set it to private, but there's a way to invite collaborators in GitHub, and you can give them different levels of access. But it will remain private. So whether you share a link or not, like if you share a link, for example, they're not going to be able to see it because it's private. But if you invite them as a collaborator, just like a Google Drive, they will be able to access it in whichever way you want them to access it. So whether to just view it, whether to just be able to pull it, or whether to be able to actually pull it and make code changes. But also in GitHub, it'll ask, it's called pull requests. Whenever somebody makes a change, it will be put into a pull request first, and then you can choose whether to accept it and merge or to just leave it out as its own thing. But again, that it's all in the private, so nobody's ever going to see it besides you and whoever you give access to.
That makes perfect sense. Okay,
But
thank you.
this is like the safe way to give access without the link. Okay, so I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to give it a name. You could also give it a description. And for local path, I'm going to make sure I select the right folder. It's the folder that's image AI master. So just make sure it's that folder that's inside of the Canva folder. Now, this should all be good. Create repository. And there you go. It created a fresh repository. I can even open it to verify it. So I'm going to open a Visual Studio Code and verify that this is the right one. It is not. It looks empty. I had this issue before. I think I'm on like the older version or something like that. But let's see. Let's see if I make a change. Changes anything. Show Explorer. Okay, so it just made a folder in there. Hilarious. Let's try this again. Repository remove. Okay, let's try this one more time. Let's add an existing repository instead. Typically, it'll also give you like an error if there is a problem. Does not appear to be a Git repository. Create a repository. Perfect. We'll call this season 4. Canva. Again, that properly starts it for us. What we can do is we can actually discard this change if you had a change in there. Because as of right now, the only changes we have made are to the env file. And whenever you make a change to the env file, typically it will not be shown here because it's being ignored. There's a little git ignore that makes sure that your env doesn't get exposed. I'm gonna need to delete that later. You can also uncheck things you don't want to commit. So if you have an env in there, you can uncheck it. Yeah, but check this out. There's a git ignore file that says ignore node modules, ignore all of these files, including, let's see, including some env stuff, .env.local. And in there, we can add our regular env. So in here, we can say ignore .env as well. But I think this little asterisk means it's like ignore all env files. Okay, cool. Now also, although we usually don't want to commit the env, since this repository is going to be private, it's not a big deal if you accidentally commit the env. You could always revert back, delete it, like delete whatever you committed, delete the env. But since this repository is private and nobody else has access, it's not too bad of a mistake. So let's publish. Let me actually first commit. Then publish name, image AI master. We'll rename it. Well, I'll keep the name the same, just because to keep it consistent. And here's the check mark to keep this code private. Very important in this case. All right, cool. Now, this code for us is online. We can check this out on the GitHub. So I can go to my github.com and I can see it. Should be logged in as me here. Yep, here it is. The first latest thing, image AI master. I can go in. I can see all the files. So for me, it did commit the env. Easy fix. Just delete it. Delete file. and instead call it env.local. That's the better way of doing it because it already ignores env.local. But yeah, cool. Now we're ready to put this up on Vercel. So our Vercel should be connected to GitHub from week 1 or season 1. If not, make sure you make a Vercel account and then you connect it to your GitHub. And then in Vercel.com, we can add a new project, and we can select our Canva project. So I'm going to click import, then environment variables. Vercel makes it very easy. You can copy your whole env file. So I can copy the whole thing and just paste it in this first box that says example name. Then we'll populate it in for you. And then you have to do is click deploy, wait a few minutes. You'll have a live website, but we just have to fix one thing. Okay, questions so far, guys, while it's building. Final stretch. We're just going to change the URL to be our live URL from Vercel. And then that's it. I think there's one more thing, maybe like the Stripe webhook secret. But I don't think did you guys get to the Stripe webhook secret last night? No? Okay.
I don't believe so.
We'll take a look at that, but it's probably something we'll also review as soon as we start. Okay, still building. Cool. Let's check out where this webhook secret is. This. And then there's a video as well, so I gotta review the video for this Stripe webhook secret. Okay, cool. Nice. We got a little confetti. Let's check it out. Let's see what the URL is first. Oh, cool. Gave me a pretty short URL. Nice. So you might not be able to log in yet because we need to change the website URL, next public site URL in our variables since it updated from localhost. So we'll go to Vercel, we'll go to our settings, go to environment variables in the settings, and here it is, the second variable, next public app URL. We'll just change it from localhost to the one Vercel gives us. You can set a custom domain as well. Vercel makes it pretty easy. And we'll need to redeploy. So we need to go back to deployments and redeploy for it to take effect. Now, I'm probably going to need to go to YouTube and find this video. So we'll do Stripe next week. Yeah, since we didn't really get to that last night either. So next week, we have Stripe. We have Drizzle. Drizzle is going to be very interesting. Maybe a little complex, but once you get a hang of it, it's pretty easy. Much easier than building
Hey,
remote.
Alisher, I got a question. I got a secret bird in my DM saying to mention no webhook secrets.
Yeah, you can just keep webhook secret as it's just random characters for now. Stripe we're gonna get to next week.
All right, I'm putting it on the recording because I'll tell you, you may have someone in your near vicinity um, whispering in your ear to make sure that we go over that again because I know that we spent some time last night just to make sure. So, yes, you're right. We didn't get to Stripe last night, and that does give folks, I think, like State. Who needed to set up their Stripe account and whatnot, that'll help them have some wiggle room. Go ahead.
Turned out.
Go
I
ahead, State.
activated. Oh, I had activated my old one that I forgot I had, so that worked out. But thank you.
Excellent. The universe conspires. That's always good. Um,
Uh,
go ahead.
And you don't really need an active Stripe account. You could just keep it in test mode right now. It's actually
Which is smart.
ideal to keep it in test mode.
Yep. Test mode is your superpower. It's your friend. You do not want to screw up anything with Stripe because I will tell you it is a absolute nightmare to try to get things reinstalled after the fact. And I will tell you this, I meant to mention this last night. For those of you that were at Bank of America, it was down last night and they suck. They are not friendly. A lot of times, we think of Max not playing nice in the sandbox. Some of the big banks are choosing to be adversarial when it comes to alternative payment options and are overtly hostile and will slow ride and slow move all of your efforts. But last night they were down completely. And so, because of that, a lot of people that had their Stripe accounts that were connected had them affected. So, you do want to
Hey
make
there,
sure that
my
you're thinking about the big picture and having multiple ways to get paid. And especially now, just like when we think of diversification in different kinds of asset classes, if you've ever listened to Alex Damsker, of course, but also self ownership is the keystone of a lot of
Hey
our
there,
pirate
my
money,
name is
our little
Antonio,
cryptos
and
and
today we're diving
JPEGs and
into the
things like
world
that,
of
and
real.
making sure that you have that diversification and backup plans in case, you know, you're deplatformed or in case something goes wrong, that you would still be able to connect with your communities, but also those payment structures in place. So it is something to marinate on and to put on a sticky note. And do want to think through this is the architecture of your business. You are building scaffoldings right now, and you're taking all the pieces from the previous seasons and
Hey
using
there,
these
my name is
building blocks to
Antonio,
build
and in
something
this
from
video,
scratch.
I'm going to show
You're
you how to
testing your know how, your capabilities, your competencies. But part of that architecture is also the what if. What if you don't have internet like our friend Smoke? Who was in a natural disaster, would a nomad Starlink help your company to make sure that you are constantly online if everything that you're offering is a digital service or a digital product, right? So just things to marinate on. And that also takes into account too that in these kinds of interesting scenarios, knowing how to have your passwords, knowing how to have all of your little back doors and breadcrumbs, having those things organized is really important. And if you have the discipline to do it now, your future self is going to sing your praises because you're not going to rip your hair out and have to not only battle, figuring these things out in a stressful situation, right? A lot of times when things like this happen, it's anxiety ridden and you're already on high alert and cortisol levels are at through the roof, and remembering things under pressure is a recipe for mistakes and slip ups. So we'll let that one sit there. Alisher, are we done for today, and did you want to close us out?
Yeah, we're done for today, guys. I would just say if you have any questions, feel free to DM me. Feel free to spend these last few minutes asking questions before next week. And I would say for now, some things you could start doing inside of your application is you can actually start building it out, right? You can ask AI Tutor how to integrate it with different APIs. Um, and of course, if you want some guidance, some help, again, feel free to hit us up in Slack. Just put out a message in general, and somebody will respond.
I see that Kirk has come up, so I'm thinking that he has something to say, maybe a question. Go ahead, Kirk.
I got it running. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Alisher. It's all straight and doing what it's supposed to do. So thank you very much.
You're awesome, Kirk. For those that don't know Kirk, he is a tremendous human. He does a lot for our community. He runs the Afterglow spaces, and he just answers so many questions behind the scenes. He is such a helpful, wonderful, beautiful soul. And he and Sharon have some wonderful things that they're building. And they also share the AI space on Fridays. Sharon also has a space with Alisher. If you look into the population that's in class tonight or this afternoon, depending on where you are, um, there are a lot of powerful collaborations that have happened over the course of a half a year now. We've got 4 seasons, almost, well, 3 seasons definitely under our belt, and the beginnings of our 4th season. And it's really amazing to see how folks have made friends and are collaborating with their pocket family to be productive in ways that we've never imagined. So they are definitely wonderful people to get to know. So um, if we do not have any other questions, I'm not seeing any. I just want to wish you all a wonderful day. I know that you're crispy around the edges, especially those of you that were here 12 hours ago. I'm going to bring Cornex up just in case he has a question. But yeah, you know what? Showing up, that's the biggest hurdle that we have to get over. And once you get over that hurdle, it's everything else falls into place. When I was a kid, if we were sick, my mom would say, you still have to get up and take a shower. And after you got up and take a shower, 9 times out of 10, you're like, well, I'm already like, clean. I should get dressed and just go to school. It was a secret ploy, I know, but there is something that happens. Your perspective changes when you say, you know what, I'm going to go through the slog. And thankfully, we have Pocket Family to help us out. Sorry, Cornex. How are you this morning, friend? What would you like to say to the crowd? Did you have any questions for Alisher before we close? There may be a delay because he is on a desktop. I don't know. Um, Let me see if I can.
I don't hear him as well, Sarah. So yeah, you might
I
have to
don't
go out.
either. Yeah, I'm having all of the things happen at once. I had 2 phone calls too. So I was like, maybe it's a me problem. But at any rate, I think we're going to close out. And Cornex, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. It could be a Twitter thing. It could be a Sarah thing. Cash Money Kev, did you have any final parting shots?
Actually, real quick, Alisher, before I go in the closing notes, could you just pull up the env file on VS Code real quick? I just want to check something to see if you'd already changed the domain in it to the Vercel one, or did you keep the local host?
So locally, you want to keep the local host whenever it's in VS Code. But on Vercel, you want to keep it whatever it is that the Vercel domain is.
And then, so I got to deploy with the local host as the next public app URL. Did we need to change that to the Vercel new domain now? Or
You will change that inside of Vercel.
okay, got you. I just remembered
So,
that for a quick second last night.
yeah, so in Vercel, in settings, there's environment variables, and that's where you should change it. Because locally, it'll stay localhost, and Vercel, it'll stay the Vercel domain.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I got the confetti. I'm super happy. I'm sure a lot of other people got their confetti as well this morning. It's super cool to see this. I'll definitely be looking up videos and using artifacts this upcoming week just to kind of get some stuff ready. Maybe test out a couple things I'd like to add. I'm not going to go too far ahead. I learned my lesson last night, but don't go too far ahead, guys. Don't get lost in the weeds, and make sure you have everything backed up. And so that way, if you break something, you're not having to restart the entire project over again. And that's going to be extremely difficult if you didn't even back up the source code, because that is locked away. Um, I just want to thank you, Alistair. Alistair, did you have any last little closing notes? Sorry, I don't want to step on any toes here.
I was just gonna say, yeah. To that point, when you're first deploying this, your URL will be localhost because you have to deploy first to get the Vercel URL. And closing notes, I think a lot of you guys, I saw you actually complete this. You posted your videos, your pictures. Great job, because this did take a while. Even this recap was quite long for a recap. So the fact that some of you guys did it last night, great job. We'll see you guys next week. See what features you want to integrate. Write those down. Post about those. DM us about those.
I just want to say thanks. Thanks to Alisher. Thanks to Tech and Schools. Thanks to Josh Hellman and his crew. Obviously, Cash Money Kev fills in on these Thursday mornings, and it's just a godsend. Matea and Luke were here last night. There are a lot of moving parts to make these classes happen, and none of these folks are being paid, right? They all want to see the greatness in you. And there's something intoxicating about achievement, human achievement in general. And, you know, exploring this venue, meaning social audio, to give folks that have normally not been able to get past the barriers to entry the ability to hack their own education. And not only that, just um, get the immediate validation. When you see the confetti, that means you did something. And not only that, did you do something? Your GitHubs reflect that. The landscape of your education and your core competencies are shown in your own personal transcript. You're taking ownership of your transcript. And so whether you want to be an employee or an employer, whether you want to get some new clients, this is the proof in the pudding that you have put in the work and that you have made something happen from your own volition. That is so powerful. And in this day, having that maker mindset and the ability to adapt and be flexible and be doggedly determined, because the stuff is not easy, especially for people that this is completely foreign to them, right? Understanding that you have to retool yourself and use AI or emerging technologies and leaning into them as opposed to shunning them or being afraid. You know, I think that there is a tremendous amount of courage and um, dedication. The fact that you're showing up and achieving something is really beautiful. I mean, entrepreneurs in general, not only do they see opportunity where other people do not, they often do the things that other people are not willing to do. It's very easy to have a 9 to 5 and call it good. Do the Netflix thing and go on your merry way. It's the folks that have the 9 to 5 and then use the extra 128 hours to build something fantastic behind the scenes when the rest of the world slumbers. Those are the people that pioneer innovation, and you are amongst them. So, each and every one of you, I hope you go on to greatness today, that you summon the courage to do the things that no one else is willing to do, but also dare to believe, dare to dream, and um, know that you can lean in on your pocket family. They believe in your crazy amazing. And they're your cohorts, your alibis, your 1-800 justifies, and they're the ones that are going to be celebrating when the rest of the world around you is silent. You do have real people behind these PFPs that genuinely care about your achievements. So we will have class same time, same place on Wednesday night. It's going to get tougher. I'm just going to tell you, the class is going to be tougher. Make sure you have your stripe and make sure you have all of your ducks in a row. Of course, we'll have our Thursday um, post mortem. All of us crispy. Hopefully, Cash Money Kev will feel better. And on Saturday, Josh Hellman has the Innovators Think Tank. So if you have an idea, if you've built something, practice your pitch. You have to take it to the next step, ideas to impact. And then, after you have that thing set out into the wild, um, lean heavily into your friends here to build your business, because collaboration truly is the next currency, as they say. Um, and of course, Saturday night, I will tell you, having already played with what Ross built, um, it is so much fun. I had so much fun last night, you folks. Have no idea how delightful the new tools coming to My AI Tutor and Pixio are, and to be able to play with those in real time on Saturday night after hours as well. You are going to be amazed. So I do hope to see you on Saturday. State, did you have anything else you wanted to say before I close it down, friend?
Yeah, while you're closing out, I was just going to ask about you said there are sometimes transcripts that make it to the replay website. Is that correct? Are they all in the same place?
Sorta. There are a handful of folks that actually put their Notion docs. I know that Dan does. I know that Dave Meir does. And they put those in the Slack channel. They'll post them up after the fact. I know that some earlier seasons, especially season 1, I think they're actually attached to the space in Innovators Think Tank. For folks that don't know, innovatorsthinktank.com has been becoming more interesting. They're overhauling a lot of the stuff there. So there's a lot of resources that you can have and, rely on. But if you have different learning styles, there are many different learning styles in this room right now. There are people that are more audio, there are people that actually need that visual. And, they ask their My AI tutor to kind of prepare those things for them. I would highly recommend you taking these transcripts. I know the Whisper does it, and then some other things. Sharon and Kirk are really awesome resources in hacking, how to distill down that information into little nuggets that are very useful for the new learner, or just people that want to have kind of a segmented way. You can also use the Bookify um, piece of the puzzle in My AI Tutor. You can put all sorts of stuff in there, like a PDF, and it'll create, a class course content for you, with content, I should say. I mean, there are lots of ways to get that kind of information, but I'll look it up for you. I'm pretty sure that that's the case. You can also ask in Slack, and I know people coming out of the woodwork to help you.
Okay, that's great. I just started using Whisper recently, and I love it. But as far as the visual aspect, I think I'm a little bit of both. For the replays, are they just on the calendar? Because I'm seeing like Twitch links when I click on the dates.
There are multiple ways to watch it, from what I understand too. I usually just go to the website, or I bookmark the spot the night before so that I can come back to it. And then I have separate files on my desktop that show, all of those links, so that I can really understand where I need to go to find the information. Sometimes when I'm listening, this is kind of a hack, when I'm listening to spaces in live time, um, there is that little, looks like a pair of scissors down below. You can snap and kind of cut and snip certain segments that you want to make sure you do not lose, right? If I don't catch them on the physical pieces of paper or my other note taking ways. But yeah, there are so many different ways to capture the information, and all of us have our own kind of special way to do it. But reach out to the people in your class. That's what Slack is for. And those collaborations, you might get a suggestion that you never thought about, and it works perfectly for you. So those are the kinds of things that we hope that people are doing behind the scenes, and we encourage it. You want to play nice in the sandbox and share your stuff. And when you treat folks awesome and you transfer your skills and knowledge, to teach is to learn twice. We've said that a bazillion times. When you transfer your knowledge to somebody else, you exchange fingerprints, and that proof of human contact is what makes us as a society grow. And so it's always wonderful to see. So hopefully I answered your question in a roundabout way. I will look for some links for you. I have to look for Flow also. I want to make sure that you guys are all caught up and that you have the things that you need at your fingertips. It may take me a minute because I am not going to tell you how scary my DMs are. I try my very, very best. But we will try to get you all caught up. So, without any other questions, do you have any other things that you needed to say? Because we're going to close up.
For who it might help, I found the button I was missing. It's in the top right. Listen to the replay on X when you click on the calendar dates. So, but thank you for all the information.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yes, you want to make sure. And if you bookmark the space itself, you can always look back and see it that way. I did not connect the dots. I'm sorry, State. I am exhausted.